Today I was inspired to talk about the principles and beliefs that we hold dear here at the Spirit of the Lotus. And the reason I wanted to do this is that the church is growing, we're expanding, not only on this physical plane, but spiritually here in the Santa Clara area. And as you know, we're developing a retreat center and church in the New Mexico area. And as we continue to grow, people are going to be asking those who attend the Spirit of Lotus and participate in the classes and other offerings that we have, what do we stand for? What is the belief system here at the Spirit of Lotus? Why did you set up this church? How is it different from other organizations? So, the Spirit of Lotus is not doctrinal or dogmatic. So, what do I mean by that? Most of the major religions, such as Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, the Muslim faith, when people say that they're dogmatic or doctrinal, what they mean is that they have a certain set of core beliefs. And they emphasize to the people that attend their churches and synagogues and mosques that you must abide by and accept and follow this core belief system in order to be a Christian, in order to be a Buddhist, a Hindu, etc. And then there are certain traditions within each of those major religions who take it a step further. They say not only must you accept these principles, this core belief system, but it is the only way in order for you to achieve enlightenment, the only way for you to reach heaven, to understand God. Some even say that it's their core belief system that sets them apart in order to be the chosen people, the chosen race. So the Spirit of the Lotus is not dogmatic in that particular fashion. Rather, we accept that there are many paths up the mountain. We accept that one person can take one path, another person could take another path up the mountain, but once you reach the top of that mountain, irrespective of whatever path you took, what do the mystics say? The view from the top is the same for everybody. So, a Christian can be a spiritual, godly person. A Muslim can be a spiritual, godly person. A Hindu can be a spiritual, godly person. If they love their faith, accept all of the core belief systems, and do what they need to do in order to achieve enlightenment within that particular faith, then more power to them. They will create their path up the mountain as they see fit. And there's nothing wrong with that. Does this mean, however, that the Spirit of the Lotus does not have its own set of principles and beliefs that we abide by? We like to call ourselves an interfaith church, and a lot of people that I've run into recently are confused by that particular concept. They ask, how can you be an interfaith church? What does that mean exactly? Does that mean you're picking and choosing different concepts from different religions and making this amalgam into your own religion? Well, it's not quite like that. I'm going to try to emphasize and point out some of our core beliefs here at the Spirit of Lotus. I don't have time within the framework of a Sunday church service to go over all of them, nor do I have time to really explain each one of them in particular detail. But I wanted to go over this with everyone here today and the people watching on Ustream, so you can answer these questions that might be coming up in the future from different people about, well, what is the Spirit of Lotus? So first and foremost, we believe in one God. We believe that there is one source for everything in creation. The Hindus talk about creation, and I love this analogy. They talk about creation as an out-breath. a pause, and then an in-breath. So this out-breath of creation is literally the creative aspect of the Godhead. Scientists talk about this in similar language. I'm sure many of you have seen on the internet or on different news programs that it is confirmed that our universe is expanding. It started out from a singular point smaller than an atom, and then is growing out. And it's growing out faster and faster, getting larger and larger exponentially. Very similar concept to the Hindus, right? With this out-breath. And now we get to the pause. The Hindus say there's this pause. This creative energy stops, and then it evolves back in on itself. Everything returning back to the Godhead. Now, what do the scientists say about that? They say the same thing. They say that eventually the growth of the universe will stop. This may be in billions and billions of years, but then what will happen? The universe will collapse in on itself, back to this singular point. So I bring this up to emphasize our belief system in a one God, and the fact that different religions talk about the one God in different ways, but it's really just different colorings, different shadings of the same thing, and this includes scientific personnel, in our opinion. We also believe that we live in a world of duality. That you can't have right if there's not wrong. There's no good if there's not bad. There's no white if there's not black. This is emphasized in the Taoist symbol that we have on the Spirit of the Lotus logo. The white turning into the black turning into the white, and then a small seed of the black in the white and a small seed of the white in the black. And this is a movement. We believe that in this world of duality, because of the duality, you are able to move and evolve and grow. I know that's a difficult concept for some people to understand, but it is because of this duality that we can make movement and evolve back to the Godhead. We believe in the step-down transformation of energy. So what do I mean by that? So we often talk about this as spirit into mind and mind into matter. What is spirit? Spirit is this plane of all possibility, right? It is the unmanifest. It is from this plane of all possibility that this physical plane around us is created. So you take this plane of all possibility, the spirit, and then in a step-down transformation type of fashion, you eventually get to the physical plane around you. And this starts with what? The mind. So you have your all possibility, your mind limits that all possibility. And from that limitation of the mind, you eventually get to our physical reality. So you have spirit into mind, mind into matter. And we emphasize this through the symbol of the cross. The vertical line on the cross is this spirit coming down into physical matter. And then you have the horizontal line, and that's the intersection. That's where your mind is. Spirit, the intersection between the horizontal line and the vertical line is your mind, and then below that is the physical reality around us. This step-down transformation of energy applies everywhere. So we believe in a spiritual hierarchy, the angelic kingdom. As many of you know, part of the retreat topic that we're going to have in Hawaii upcoming is on the angelic kingdom. The angelic kingdom is part of this step-down transformation of energy. We have archangels, thrones, seraphim, cherubim, angels. And when we talk about a hierarchy, I want to make sure this is very clear. We're not saying that something is better than another, right? Just because an archangel might be higher up, than, let's say, a throne, that doesn't mean an archangel is more powerful or better or has some higher position in God's eyes. It's simply part of this manifestation, this step-down transferring of energy until you finally get to our human form. You can think of this in terms of the Rainbow Bridge in reverse fashion, right? The Rainbow Bridge, we go over the colors of the rainbow. And we start with the densest color, the one most like this physical plane, red. Densest, and by densest I mean literally densest in vibration, in color, in sound. And then as you practice and do this Rainbow Bridge, what you're doing is slowly going up this bridge in reverse fashion to the step-down transformation of energy. You're going in reverse. So you're starting with your red, then you go to orange, which is 7 times less dense. Then you go to yellow, which is 7 times less dense again, and so on and so on and so on as you go up until you reach the white light. So you're reversing that process from spirit into mind into matter. You're actually going reverse, matter, spirit, matter, mind, up to spirit, through this vehicle that we call the Rainbow Bridge meditation. We believe that we are co-creators with God. That's a difficult concept for some other religious traditions to accept. And we mean it literally, that we're co-creators with God. We are all part of the one. In reality, there is no difference between you and me in this chair, me in this building. Your victory is my victory is yours. Your failures are mine, mine are yours. We are all in this together. And by co-creators, I mean that we are the captains of our own ship, the masters of our own destiny, to quote that famous poem. As Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, and you are the directors of it. So everything around you in your environment, your family, your friends, your house, your job situation, everything that's going around you, you are part of that creation. You have helped develop that. And so what do we say about that? We say, what you pay attention to in your life, that is what you energize. And what you energize, that is what you become. So if people spend their time, their energy, their focus on negative things, is it any surprise that they may have a difficult life? That there may be a lot of bumps in the road for that particular individual? If you spend your time and attention and focus on positive things, on the silver lining in everything, I guarantee you that you will be better for it in your life. Because you will be creating something beautiful, something magical, something inspirational. This does not mean that bad things won't happen to you. Just because you focus on the positive doesn't mean that you're not going to have to go through the grief of losing a loved one. It doesn't mean that you're not going to lose a job. What it does mean, however, is that because of your outlook, you can clearly see that when these bad things happen to you, that it is for a reason, that it is God's will, and that there is always, always a silver lining in it. And the key is to find that silver lining. And that is what helps you progress and move up the mountain to self-realization and enlightenment. So remember that concept. What you pay attention to, that you energize, and what you energize, that you become. Here at the Spirit of Lotus, we tell people to tithe 10% of your time to God. A lot of religions, when they talk about tithing, they're speaking of it in terms of economics. So if you make a certain salary per year, you need to tithe 10% of whatever that salary is to the church. Now, if people want to do that at the Spirit of Lotus, we welcome that. But what's more important? And what do we emphasize? It's tithing of your time to God. So there's 24 hours in a day, right? 10% of 24 hours is 2.4 hours per day tithe to God. That's what we ask people to do. Now, if you don't do that, we don't follow you around or send you messages and say, you know, bad person you should be tithing more time to God. It's a recommendation. This brings me to perhaps one of the most important belief systems of the Spirit of Lotus. And what is that? It is personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. We can give you the tools to become more self-realized, but you actually have to make the effort to do it. That goes back to the concept about what you pay attention to. I can stand up here all day and tell you to pay attention to love and joy and happiness and positive things. And you might think to yourself, gosh, I'm going to do that when I leave here today. And maybe you do it for 5 minutes, but the rest of the day you don't. That's something that you have to take upon yourself. Here at the Spirit of Lotus, we ask you to take up your sack of issues and problems and carry it yourself. We're going to give you the tools to make that sack lighter for you, but you have to carry it. That's your responsibility. So we give breathing exercises. I won't go into all the different breathing exercises. We give visualization exercises, readings for people. We give meditative exercises, movement exercises. These are all tools to help people, to help them on their path up the mountain. But again, it's each individual's responsibility to actually take those tools and use them. It ties into what I was talking about regarding the environment around you. As a co-creator with God, we believe that you are responsible for this creation around you. That's a lot of weight for some people to accept. But we also tell you you can change it. If you don't like what's going in the outer world around you, then go within. And here's the tools. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you can change it. This is similar to a concept that Emmett Fox teaches. Some of you may know him. He's a Christian mystic. He's written a lot of books. You can find him on the internet. He's in lots of bookstores. Emmett Fox talks about a 7-day mental diet. You know how our society is flooded with all of these diets regarding your weight and proper nutrition. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a big fan of proper nutrition. But there's less emphasis on your mental diet and emotional diet. And so what Emmett Fox says is, Take a week. And during that week, you do this self-assessment process. What do you spend your time thinking about mostly? How do you react to different situations? What is your level of response? Is it out of anger? Is it out of envy? Is it out of jealousy? Is it out of love? Is it out of joy? How much time are you spending with God? You do this assessment for 7 days. This is your diet. So you can see where you are at and what you need to do to improve yourself. And we believe here at the Spirit of Lotus that if each person makes a change within, because we are all connected, because we are all one, that affects everything around us. A lot of people come talk to me about peace in the world and getting rid of the concept of war in people's minds and in their hearts, and they say, gosh, I'm just one person, there's nothing I can do about it, really. And I will say, that's not true. You can do a whole lot about that. You can change yourself. And I know this is cliche, but if you change yourself, it changes the world. There is, and I can't remember who came up with this concept, but they talk about a butterfly on the other end of the world. And they say when the butterfly flaps its wings on the other side of the world, that creates a tidal wave somewhere else. And that concept is all about how interconnected we really are. Different spiritual masters have come, and we respect many, many, many of them. We talk about Buddha, we talk about the Christ, we talk about Krishna. These are way showers. These are different aspects of the Godhead. Different colors. It's like when you take the color white and you shine it through a prism, it makes all these different colors. The color started out as white, but it has all of these different manifestations. I often tell, as some of you may know, I'm an attorney, and I often tell clients when I'm preparing them for trial and for depositions, if there's one thing you remember out of everything I say, out of the last couple hours that I've been talking to you, just tell the truth. You can never go wrong if you tell the truth. You can never be trapped on the stand if you're telling the truth. You never have to try to remember how a certain thing went down if you're just telling the truth. So same type of concept here at the Spirit of Lotus. What's the most important thing? It's love. It's in 1 Corinthians. There's many gifts of the Godhead. Love is the most important gift of all. So if people forget everything I say today about what the Spirit of Lotus stands for, just remember love. Love yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love everything. Love breaks down barriers, right? You can be walking down the street and you can run into some people and they've got that, scowl on their face and they're looking at you and they're thinking, you better move, I'm on the sidewalk here and you better go around me. If you just give them a smile, you open your heart to them, not always, but many times, that's going to change the whole dynamic of that situation. Don't you agree? And even if it doesn't change the dynamic, they don't have to love you. You can love them. Right? Love, if you truly love, there are no limitations. When you love, there is all possibility. There's studies which show that you can be great at something. whether it's a sport or music, teaching, the ministry, whatever it is. You can be really good at it. You can inspire a lot of people. But you reach that next level if you love what you're doing. To bring up another cliche, people say if you love your job, you never work a day in your life, right? So, love removes barriers. It takes away limitation. It allows you to be of service to humanity, of service to creation. I want to expand it beyond humanity. You can be of service to animals and plants and elementals. Love allows you to be of service. And when you are of service, that is when you truly realize who and what you are. We also believe here that everything is in a process of evolution. So there are certain religious traditions that they're creationists, is the popular word for them. So they don't believe in Darwin and evolution. We do believe in evolution. We believe that we are evolving back to the Godhead. Using the analogy of the mountain and the many different paths, some people in this lifetime are at the bottom of the mountain. They may not even have started walking up the steep part of the mountain. They might just be walking around the bottom of the mountain. And because of that state of being, they see the world in a particular fashion. And then you have a different set of people who are a little higher up on the mountain. And they've started, walking up the incline. And so on until you get to the very tippy top. And a lot of mystics like to say there's a very small number of people at the top of the mountain. That is rarefied air. They are close to completely returning back to the Godhead. There are people that have shown us that this is possible and how to do this. Christ was one of those people. He taught us what to do, and if you achieve that, what does he say? After you pass away, you ascend and you unify to the Godhead from which you came. So we believe this is happening to everybody and everything. So when I talk to biologists and other scientists who ask about our belief system and evolution, I say I'm a big fan of evolution. I 100% believe in it and support it. It makes perfect sense to me. We're all evolving in our lives, right? We are not the same now as we were when we were born. We have changed. People, in terms of, if they're not attached to opinions and conclusions and ideas, it allows them to evolve more quickly. If you are attached to certain ideas and opinions, then you've stuck yourself, and this is your own responsibility, you've stuck yourself in a box. Or I like to use a different analogy regarding attachment. If you're attached to people, places, ideas, things, I like to tell people each one of those attachments is like a little line of light and energy from you to that person, that place, or that thing. Think of all the thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of light and energy that you have attaching you to things. Eventually what you've done to yourself is you're like a fly caught in a spider's web. You cannot move. You cannot grow because you're stuck in the past, essentially, tied to these ideas and these concepts and these people, places, and things. This doesn't mean you cannot love people, by the way. When I say tied to people, I don't mean you cannot love people. Remember before I was saying we're all about loving people. Attached to somebody is a different concept. You can collect clocks like I do. I love clocks. But a question for me is, am I attached to them? Remember what Christ said about a wealthy man? He said, a camel has a better chance of getting through an eye of a needle than a wealthy man. And why is he saying that? A wealthy man is stuck to everything he owns. He's got to have his money and his big house and his gold and his fancy clothes and everything else. Camels don't care about that. They don't worry about things like that. So these are some of the concepts that we emphasize here at the Spirit of Lotus. I hope that's somewhat informative. There are many more. I just wanted to condense it down to some of the few seminal ones. These can be talking points for all of us. If people have ideas about what I've shared, email me at spiritoflotus@gmail.com. I like getting emails and I like responding to people. Also, by the way, you can email if you have prayer requests. As people know, we like to do prayer requests every Sunday. And for people who can't physically attend church service in Santa Clara, just email us the requests. Help us, help you. We're all in this together. So, much love to everybody. I do want to spend the last 10 minutes doing a meditation. I think that I believe meditation brings concepts that we hear about and learn about during the homily. It brings it all together. And not only that, meditation allows you to become one with the Godhead. Leaving aside all of its other great benefits like lowering blood pressure and lowering sense of anxiety and all that other stuff. So much love to everybody. God bless. And we'll do our Rainbow Midge meditation.